And we are now going to go ahead and listen into Marjorie Taylor Greene on the steps of the
I support my conference. Again, I have paid all of my dues to the NRCC and then some. I support Republicans holding the majority next conference, but we need a Speaker of the House that knows how to negotiate, knows how to walk in the room, knows how to hold the line, and knows how to defend America first and the values and the policies that President Trump will bring the next administration.
What exactly will put supplemental line? What would make you bring it to the floor?
It's time to start the process to find a new speaker. What does that process look like without the motion to vacate?
That process allows everyone to have discussions and internal meetings and conversations. And it allows other people to step forward and say they're willing to run for speaker.
Should Johnson step down from speaker?
That you would like to see
Not at this time. I want to have conversations, and I want to hear from others how they would have handled this.
Have you
talked to Trump about this?
I have not talked to President Trump about this.
You said there's more support from Republicans. How many Republicans?
I won't give you a number, but I've talked to many who probably won't go public, but silently they're breathing a sigh of relief. Everyone is. You can look at the numbers and the votes of this. This bill was passed without a majority of Republicans. This is a Democrat budget, and it was passed by Mike Johnson.
Should Johnson step down? Should Johnson have stepped down?
That'd be a choice that he would have to make, but we're going to have to find a new speaker.
You saw what happened in the fall. We saw one speaker candidate after another fall short of getting the votes necessary.
Even narrower now.
You can't. I mean, how could you possibly even find someone to succeed Mike Johnson who could get the votes, keep this conference together, and not plunge this chamber into chaos?
We're going to have to do it because the country is in crisis. We have a border invasion that's happening every single day. We have Americans under the age of 30, for the first time it's showing in all types of polling, have lost hope for their future. The younger generations can't afford to buy a home. Inflation is running rampant. Our country is in crisis, and we need real leaders that know how to fight, that know how to walk in a room and don't get rolled by the deep state and don't get rolled by the Democrats and don't get rolled into doing whatever it takes to maintain that power and position. We need a Speaker of the House that actually represents the people. This is the people's house. This is not Washington, D.C.'s house. This is the people's house, and that matters.
Just to follow up on that, though, you're calling this a pink slip, a warning sign. The bottom line, you want Speaker Johnson out.
I wouldn't have filed a motion to vacate if I didn't. We need a new speaker. This is not personal against Mike Johnson. He's a very good man, and I have respect for him as a person, but he is not doing the job. The proof is in the vote count today. He passed a budget that should have never been brought to the floor, did not represent our conference, and it was passed with the Democrats and without the majority of the majority.
What happens if he moves on Ukraine? What happens if he moves on any aid to Ukraine?
That would also go against what the American people want. Polling shows that it's approximately 70% of the American people do not support continuing a war in Ukraine.
But would that be a triggering event for you?
The motion to vacate's already been filed.
No, but would you
already been filed. He should not bring funding for Ukraine.
Just to clarify, thank you. Sorry, in the back. Thank you. You are saying you will call for this vote, or are you saying you're still... I know you said no timeline
I'm
yet.
saying that we've started the clock to start the process to elect a new speaker. And I'm giving my conference time. I'm being respectful to my conference, but many members in my conference agree. Even though it's uncomfortable, it's a process none of us want to go through. It has to happen.
So this is kind of a way to avoid...
Would you be teaming with Democrats as well by ousting the Speaker of the House, just like Speaker Johnson did in teaming with Democrats to pass the government funding bill?
We have to find a new Speaker of the House. I'm not sure how that vote count would be, and I've heard a lot of Democrats may support him, so I'm not sure how that works out.
If they do that, don't you worry that you're basically pushing him or any new speaker into the arms of Democrats? Because, like, at a certain point...
He's already in the arms of Democrats, and it's proof in the vote count today. This was a Democrat bill. This was not a Republican bill. We weren't allowed to introduce amendments. We weren't allowed to have a say. We weren't even given the respect of the 72-hour rule to read 1,012 pages.
So you think it would be better to shut the government down then? I mean, you were up against the clock. Would it have been better to
It would have been better back in October when he became Speaker to have actually worked on appropriation bills, stayed with single appropriation bills, and done what all of us had set out to do.
Could you guys bring McCarthy back? Could you bring
Guys,
McCarthy back? Do you think there would be the votes for that? I mean, technically, he doesn't have to be a member. I mean, Is that, I know you support him, so I'm just wondering.
Do you really think that there's someone who can get 218 votes to become Speaker of the House?
I certainly hope so.
I mean, it was so hard.
As Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene coming down the Capitol steps after filing a motion to vacate the speakership. This was in reaction to the House passing a funding bill aiming to avert a partial government shutdown with the deadline tonight at midnight. But Taylor Greene says the House passed that bill without majority support of Republicans. She now calls it a Democrat bill that the Speaker should never have brought to the House floor, and she's now calling for a new Speaker. I want to bring this to Jay O'Brien, who's there on Capitol Hill. Jay, it was only a few months ago where we saw this whole back and forth. Kevin McCarthy, who took a record number of votes to get the speakership, was booted out, replaced by Mike Johnson, and now here you have Marjorie Taylor Greene just a few months later saying Mike Johnson has to go too. So now what?
Yeah, let me give you the timeline here, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling this a warning shot. She's saying that Johnson is on notice, that she wants a new speaker, but she didn't, and it looks like this was intentional. She did not take the procedural steps necessary to guarantee a vote on whether or not Mike Johnson should be booted from the speakership, because you can file motions in the House and then you can file privileged motions. Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate, but it's not privileged. Because it's not privileged, it means there is no shot clock on this. There is no time in which a vote on whether or not Mike Johnson should be removed has to occur. Matt Gaetz, in the other example, when Kevin McCarthy was ousted, filed it as a privileged motion, which means the House had 2 legislative days to take that up and hold a vote on Kevin McCarthy's future. Marjorie Taylor Greene has not done that. So this motion can procedurally just sit on the floor, essentially, and not be acted upon. And she even indicated in those comments there that she is not really committed to a timetable here. So it looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene is attempting to frame this as she is not liking Mike Johnson's speakership, she is against him staying as leader, but she's not going to take any kind of action that has legislative oomph that would push him out of his job on any kind of a timetable. Now, you heard our Rachel Scott, our colleague, our senior congressional correspondent there, press Marjorie Taylor Greene and say, well, you're calling this a warning shot, but the bottom line, I'm paraphrasing Rachel's question, is that you want Speaker Johnson out, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene says a version of, I wouldn't have filed the motion to vacate if I wanted him to stay in his job. But still, it puts Mike Johnson, I guess, on notice is the phrase that Marjorie Taylor Greene and her allies are already starting to use, but it doesn't put him on the hot seat because this vote doesn't have to happen on any kind of a timetable.